The glass walls of Legal Solutions United didn't look very impressive on Space Station Delta. The office sat between a noodle shop and a repair facility, both of which did far better business than the small alien law firm. Inside, three partners of different species sat around a floating holotable, their faces showing various signs of distress, as much as alien faces could show emotion. "The numbers are clear," said Blue, the eldest partner, his crystalline body reflecting the dim office lights. "Our client lost 6 mining colonies. The damage is in billions of credits." His voice came from a small speaker attached to his upper crystal formation. Red, the youngest partner, flicked through projection after projection with his thin fingers. His ruby-colored scales caught the light as he moved. "The mining corporation knows they caused the damage. They just don't care. They have the warrior clans backing them. And we all know what that means," muttered Green, her plant-like appendages curling in worry. "No local court will dare rule against them. Not when the warriors can simply show up and make problems disappear." The three partners had built their practice on helping the little guys. Small trading companies, independent miners, and refuge seekers, anyone who needed legal help but couldn't afford the big firms. But this case was different. This was big. Too big. Blue floated closer to the holotable. "Our client's entire species depends on those mining colonies. Without them, they'll lose their primary source of medicine." He paused, his crystal structure dimming slightly. "They'll die out within a generation." Red slammed his scaled hand on the table, making the holograms flicker. "The traditional courts will take centuries. You know how it works. Mathematical proofs of liability, quantum probability assessments, temporal consensus gathering. By then, our clients will be extinct." Green's leaves rustled in thought. "We need something different, something faster." She reached out with a vine-like arm and pulled up the galactic legal database. There must be some precedent, some alternative method of resolution. The three aliens spent hours searching through millions of cases across thousands of worlds. Their eyes, or sensory organs, grew tired from reading endless legal documents in hundreds of languages. It was Red who found it first. "Look at this," he exclaimed, expanding a document titled Earth Legal Customs and Alternative Dispute Resolution Methods. On Earth, they sometimes use something called rock, paper, scissors to settle disputes. Blue's crystal structure vibrated in confusion. "What kind of advanced mathematical system is this?" "It's not mathematical at all," Red said, his excitement growing. "It's a simple game. 3 choices, each beating one and losing to another. Quick, decisive, and," he paused for effect, "recognized as a legal method of dispute resolution in their system." Green's leaves perked up. "A game. For legal decisions." She scrolled through the document. "It says here it's been used to settle everything from business deals to property disputes. There's even a case where 2 law firms used it to decide who would handle a multi-million credit case." Blue's crystalline form brightened considerably. "A simple game. That's pure genius. The warriors respect combat and competition. They might accept this as a form of ritual combat. But we need someone who understands both the legal implications and this game," Green noted. "Someone who can present it to the Galactic High Court in a way they'll accept." Red scales rippled with determination. "We need a human lawyer." The three partners looked at each other, hope beginning to replace their earlier despair. They had found a possible solution, one so simple it just might work. Now they just needed to find the right human to help them pull it off. "Start searching," Blue commanded. "Find us a human lawyer who knows this game. Someone who's used it before in legal proceedings. Someone who's not afraid to challenge the biggest mining corporation in the galaxy." As their office systems began scanning human legal records, none of them realized they were about to change the face of galactic law forever. All because of a simple game that every human child knew how to play. And somewhere out there, a human lawyer was about to get the case of a lifetime. Jack Stone's office on Colony Station Beta 12 wasn't much to look at. The plastic window overlooked a busy marketplace where humans and aliens traded everything from Earth spices to alien technology. Inside, the office had just enough room for a desk, 2 chairs, and a coffee maker that had seen better days. Stone sat with his feet up on the desk, sipping synthetic coffee that tasted almost, but not quite, entirely unlike real coffee. His wrinkled suit jacket hung on the back of his chair, and his tie lay loose around his neck. 10 years ago, he'd been one of Earth's top corporate lawyers. Now he was lucky if he got 2 clients a month. The door chimed, and Stone nearly fell out of his chair. Nobody ever visited at this hour. "Come in," he called, quickly straightening his tie. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing 3 aliens, a crystalline being, a scaled humanoid, and what looked like a walking plant. Stone had seen plenty of aliens in his time on the colony, but never all 3 of these species together. "Mr. Stone," the crystal being spoke through a translator, "we are Legal Solutions United. We've come a long way to find you." Stone raised an eyebrow. "Really? Usually people come a long way to avoid me." The scaled alien stepped forward, holding up a holopad. "We found records of your case against Megacorp Industries 3 years ago. The one you won through a rock, paper, scissors tournament." A smile crept across Stone's face. That case had been his greatest victory, and his last one on Earth. He'd suggested RPS as a joke when both sides reached a stalemate. To everyone's surprise, the judge had allowed it. Even more surprisingly, Stone had won. But the corporate world hadn't appreciated his unconventional methods. "That was a long time ago," Stone said, taking another sip of his terrible coffee. "These days I mostly handle trade disputes and drunk and disorderly cases." The plant-like alien's leads rustled. "We need your expertise, Mr. Stone. We represent a species facing extinction. Their mining colonies were destroyed by the Starbreaker Mining Corporation." Stone whistled. Everyone knew Starbreaker, the biggest, meanest mining operation in the galaxy. They had the warrior clan's protection, which meant they were practically untouchable. "The traditional courts will take too long," the crystal being continued. "We need someone who understands both legal proceedings and this game of yours." "Rock, paper, scissors isn't just a game," Stone said, standing up. His eyes had a spark that hadn't been there in years. "It's the perfect balance of strategy and chance, a mirror of the legal system itself, but simplified to its purest form." The scaled alien looked excited. "Then you'll help us." Stone walked to his window, watching the busy marketplace below. "You know what you're asking, right? You want to challenge Starbreaker Mining Corporation, backed by the warrior clans, to settle a billion-credit case through rock, paper, scissors." "Yes," all 3 aliens said in unison. Stone turned back to them, a grin spreading across his face. "It's completely crazy. Absolutely insane." He paused, straightening his jacket. "I'm in." The alien's body showed various signs of relief. The crystal brightened, the scales smoothed, and the leaves perked up. "But," Stone added, grabbing his briefcase from under the desk, "we're going to need to teach you everything about this game. The psychology, the strategy, the mind games, everything." As he packed up his few belongings, Stone felt alive again. This was his chance at redemption, a way to prove that his methods weren't just jokes or tricks. They were a legitimate way to find justice. "First stop," he announced, "the Galactic High Court. And trust me, they've never seen anything like what we're about to show them." The aliens followed him out of the shabby office, hope rising with each step. They had found their human lawyer, and he was ready to shake up the entire galactic legal system, one game of rock, paper, scissors at a time. The Galactic High Court looked like someone had taken every impressive building in the universe and combined them into one structure. Crystal spires reached into the purple sky, while gravity-defying arches crossed between them. Stone watched through the transport window as they approached, trying not to look impressed. "Remember," Blue said, his crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy, "the court hasn't seen a human lawyer in over 50 years. Stone straightened his tie. Then let's give them a show they won't forget. Inside, the main courtroom was bigger than a football stadium. Thousands of different alien species sat in floating platforms arranged in a spiral pattern. At the center, 12 ancient judges, each from one of the founding races of the Galactic Alliance, sat on towering platforms that reached almost to the ceiling. The Starbreaker Mining Corporation's legal team already waited on their platform. Their chief lawyer, a massive warrior-class alien covered in metallic scales, sneered as Stone's platform docked. "This is your legal representative." The warrior lawyer boomed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "A human." Stone stepped forward, briefcase in hand. "Jack Stone, Earth Bar Association, Colony Station, Beta 12 District." He paused, then added with a smile, "And yes, I'm human. Your powers of observation are remarkable." The chief judge, a being made entirely of swirling energy, spoke. "The court recognizes both parties. Starbreaker Mining Corporation stands accused of destroying 6 mining colonies belonging to the healing crystal species. Traditional processing time for this case, 342 years. Your Honors," Stone interrupted, causing gasps throughout the chamber. Nobody interrupted the chief judge. "I propose an alternative method of resolution." The warrior lawyer laughed. What could a human possibly propose that would improve upon 10,000 years of galactic legal tradition? Stone opened his briefcase and pulled out 3 simple objects: a rock from Earth, a sheet of paper, and a pair of scissors. He held them up for all to see. "Rock, paper, scissors," he announced. The universal translators struggled for a moment before conveying the words in hundreds of languages throughout the chamber. Silence fell. Then laughter, from nearly every species present. The warrior lawyer wiped tears from his eyes. "This is your proposal. A primitive Earth game." "A game?" one of the ancient judges asked, their energy form flickering with curiosity. "Yes," Stone said, his voice firm. "A game that has settled disputes on Earth for centuries. A game that combines psychology, strategy, and chance in perfect balance. A game where the weakest can defeat the strongest through skill alone." He turned to face the entire chamber. "Your current system would take centuries. Meanwhile, an entire species faces extinction. They need justice now, not in 300 years. "This is absurd," the warrior lawyer protested. "We cannot reduce galactic law to a simple game." Stone smiled. "Why not? Your current system uses mathematical proofs that take decades to verify. Quantum probability matrices that need 100-year calculations. Why? Justice shouldn't need a supercomputer to be served." He demonstrated the game, showing how rock crushed scissors, scissors cut paper, and paper covered rock. The ancient judges watched with increasing interest. 3 choices, Stone continued, each able to defeat one while being defeated by another. Perfect balance, perfect fairness, and most importantly, immediate results. The chief judge's energy form swirled thoughtfully. "The human makes an interesting point. Our current system has become cumbersome." "This is tradition," the warrior lawyer shouted. "Tradition," Stone countered, "should serve justice, not hinder it. I formally request a test case. Let us settle this dispute through rock, paper, scissors. If we lose, we'll accept defeat. If we win, it sets a precedent for future cases." The chamber erupted in discussion. The ancient judges conferred among themselves, their platforms drawing closer together as they debated. Finally, the chief judge spoke. "The court will consider this unusual proposal." Session adjourned for deliberation. As the platforms began to disperse, Stone caught the warrior lawyer's glare. The game wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about proving that sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. In a small practice room provided by the Galactic High Court, Stone stood before his alien clients. Blue, red, and green sat watching him, along with 2 representatives from the healing crystal species they were fighting to save. The representatives sparkled like diamonds under the room's soft light. Rock, paper, scissors isn't just about throwing shapes with your hands, Stone explained, pacing back and forth. It's about psychology, about reading your opponent, about being unpredictable. Red raised his scaled hand. I've analyzed the game. Logically, rock should be played 33.33% of the time, paper 33.33%, and scissors 33.33%. Perfect balance. Stone shook his head, smiling. And that's exactly why aliens lose to humans at this game. You're thinking like a computer, not a person. He pulled up a holographic display showing statistics from thousands of human RPS games. Look here. Most newcomers throw rock as their first move. Why? Because rock feels strong, solid, safe. It's not logical. It's emotional. The aliens exchanged confused looks. But that's inefficient. Blue protested, his crystal structure dimming slightly. If everyone knows this pattern, why do they still do it? Because humans aren't efficient, Stone said, grinning. We're messy, emotional, and sometimes we do things just because it feels right. That's our strength. He set up a practice game between red and green. They played 10 rounds, with red throwing exactly the same sequence each time. Rock, paper, scissors, repeat. Stop, Stone called out. Red, why did you use that pattern? It ensures equal distribution of all moves, Red answered proudly. And it makes you completely predictable, Stone countered. Green, why did you keep losing even though you could see the pattern? Green's leaves drooped. I kept thinking there must be a deeper strategy. That no one would be so simple. Stone laughed. Sometimes the best strategy is no strategy. Random choices aren't truly random if you're thinking too hard about being random. He spent the next hour teaching them human psychology. How people tended to repeat winning moves. How losers often switched to what would have beaten their last losing throw. How males statistically threw rock more often, while females favored scissors. But our species don't have these gender distinctions, one of the healing crystal representatives pointed out. Exactly, Stone exclaimed. The warrior clan's lawyer will be looking for human patterns, but you're not human. Use that to your advantage. He showed them more tricks. How to watch an opponent's body language. How to fake a tell. How to use the pressure of the moment to your advantage. The warrior lawyer will expect you to be logical, to follow patterns, Stone explained. So be illogical. Be random. Be human. The aliens practiced for hours. Slowly, their moves became less predictable. They started to understand that perfect mathematical distribution wasn't the goal. Remember, Stone said as they wrapped up the session, the warrior clans respect strength. But they define strength as physical power or tactical brilliance. Show them that true strength can come from embracing chaos, from being willing to be unpredictable. Blue's crystal structure brightened with understanding. We must think like humans to win like humans. Now you're getting it, Stone grinned. Tomorrow, we'll work on intimidation tactics. Did you know that in the 21-21 World RPS Championships, a player won simply by staring at his opponent's left ear the entire match? As his clients filed out of the practice room, Stone felt proud. They were beginning to understand that rock, paper, scissors wasn't just a game of chance or logic. It was a game of human nature. Messy, unpredictable, and beautifully chaotic. And in 2 days, when the court reconvened to hear their proposal, they would show the galaxy just how powerful human chaos could be. The Galactic High Court buzzed with excitement. News of the human lawyer's strange proposal had spread across 17 star systems. Every floating platform was packed with observers from different species. Even the space station's maintenance staff had found excuses to be present. Jack Stone stood on his platform, watching as the 12 ancient judges materialized on their towering perches. The warrior lawyer from Starbreaker Mining Corporation shot him a confident smirk from the opposite platform. The court recognizes Earth lawyer Stone, the chief judge announced, their energy form glowing brighter. You may present your argument for implementing this. Rock, paper, scissors as a legal resolution method. Stone stepped forward. Your Honors, I'd like to tell you about an ancient Earth custom called trial by combat. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The warrior lawyer's scales bristled with interest. For thousands of years, Stone continued, humans settled disputes through physical combat. The winner was considered to have the favor of justice. He paused, letting that sink in. Sound familiar? The warrior lawyer stood straighter. His species still practiced similar customs. But we evolved, Stone said. We realized that justice shouldn't depend on who was strongest. We developed complex legal systems like yours. He gestured at the massive computer banks lining the walls. And then, we evolved again. Stone pulled out his 3 simple objects. The rock, paper, and scissors. We found a middle ground. A way to keep the spirit of competition while ensuring anyone could participate equally. This is still just a game, the warrior lawyer interrupted. You cannot compare it to our sacred legal traditions. Really? Stone raised an eyebrow. Your current system uses quantum algorithms to calculate probability matrices of guilt. How is that less arbitrary than 3 simple choices, each able to defeat one while being defeated by another? He turned to address the entire chamber. In 2019, a Japanese city sold a land lot worth millions through rock, paper, scissors. In 2088, 2 Earth corporations settled a billion credit merger the same way. In 2121, the International Space Station used it to decide which nation would name the first Mars colony. The ancient judges leaned forward, their various forms showing signs of interest. But more importantly, Stone continued, it works. No appeals dragging on for decades. No complex calculations that only quantum computers can understand. Just pure, simple, immediate justice. And what of tradition? One of the judges asked. Our system has stood for 10,000 years. Stone nodded respectfully. Tradition is important. But should tradition stand in the way of justice? The healing crystal species will be extinct before your traditional courts reach a verdict. Is that justice? The warrior lawyer slammed his fist down. This is ridiculous. You expect us to decide cases worth billions of credits on 3 simple hand gestures. Yes, Stone said simply. Because sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. Your legal system has become so complex that justice gets lost in the calculations. Rock, paper, scissors strips away all the complexity. It leaves only the essential element, chance, guided by skill. He looked up at the ancient judges. I propose a test. Let us settle our case this way. If we lose, the healing crystal species will accept their fate. But if we win, you'll have proof that this system works. The chamber fell silent. The ancient judges conferred among themselves, their platforms drawing close together. Minutes stretched into hours as they deliberated. Finally, the chief judge spoke. In the interest of justice, and given the urgent nature of this case, we accept your proposal. The dispute between the healing crystal species and Starbreaker Mining Corporation will be settled by rock, paper, scissors. The chamber erupted in chaos. Stone caught the warrior lawyer's eye and nodded slightly. The real battle was about to begin. The tournament arena glowed with holographic displays, showing the rules of rock, paper, scissors in 100 different languages. The floating platforms had been rearranged into a circle, with the ancient judges' platforms towering above. In the center, 2 smaller platforms faced each other, one for each team's champion, a human. Stone stared at the warrior lawyer's platform, where a small woman in a professional suit stood calmly. You brought in a human player. The warrior lawyer grinned, his metallic scales gleaming. Meet Ms. White, 3-time Earth champion of rock, paper, scissors. We figured if we're playing a human game, we should have a human player. Stone felt his stomach sink. He knew of White. She was legendary in RPS circles, with a record of 847 wins in professional matches. She had an almost supernatural ability to predict her opponent's moves. I'll play, Stone said, stepping forward. What? Blue's crystal structure flickered with alarm. But we trained for this. One of us should. No, Stone interrupted. White will destroy you. She's trained to read human patterns, but you're not human. You'll fall into your logical patterns without realizing it. He straightened his tie. I have to do this. The chief judge's energy form brightened. The rules are simple. Best of 101 matches. The winner takes all. The loser's claim is forever forfeit. Their voice echoed through the chamber. Champions, take your positions. Stone stepped onto the central platform. Across from him, White smiled politely. They had never met, but her reputation spoke for itself. Begin match 1, the chief judge announced. The chamber fell silent. Even the air recycling systems seemed to quiet down. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Stone threw rock, White threw paper. Point to Starbreaker Mining Corporation. The warrior lawyer's team cheered. Stone kept his face neutral, but his mind was racing. White was good, incredibly good. She had read his opening move perfectly. The matches continued. Stone won some, lost others. White seemed to anticipate his moves with uncanny accuracy. After 50 matches, the score stood at 26-24 in White's favor. During a short break, Red approached Stone. You're losing. You need to use a logical pattern. Something. No, Stone wiped sweat from his forehead. That's exactly what she wants. She's not just reading my moves, she's reading my whole style. Time to change the game. The matches resumed. But now Stone did something different. Instead of thinking about his next move, he thought about his morning coffee. About the noodle shop next to his old office. About anything except the game. White's accuracy began to drop. Her confident smile faded slightly. She was reading his body language, his patterns, his tells. But there was nothing to read. His moves became truly random, guided by stray thoughts rather than strategy. The score evened. Then Stone pulled ahead. 48-47, 49-47, 50-47. What is he doing? The warrior lawyer demanded. White, read his pattern. I can't, White said, frustration showing on her face. There is no pattern. He's just throwing randomly. Stone smiled. Not randomly. Humanly. The final matches played out quickly. Stone maintained his lead, letting his mind wander to different thoughts with each throw. White, trained to spot and counter patterns, couldn't adapt to moves that came from chaos rather than strategy. The final score, 54-47. The chamber erupted in cheers and confusion. The healing crystal representatives glowed so brightly they nearly blinded the nearby observers. The warrior lawyer stood slack-jawed, his metallic scales dulled with shock. Justice is served, the chief judge announced. The victory goes to the healing crystal species. Starbreaker Mining Corporation must pay full damages. Stone and White met in the center to shake hands. How? She asked quietly. How did you beat my reading technique? Stone grinned. By remembering that sometimes the best technique is no technique at all. 1 month after the historic rock-paper-scissors tournament, Stone stood at the window of his new office on Space Station Delta. The plastic window had been replaced with crystal-clear glass, and the view now showed the glittering expanse of space rather than a crowded marketplace. Another case request, Mr. Stone. His new assistant, a young alien from the healing crystal species, floated into the room. Their crystalline forms sparkled with excitement. This one's from the Planetary Council of Seven Suns, a dispute over trading routes. Stone smiled. His victory had changed everything. The Galactic High Court had officially recognized rock-paper-scissors as an acceptable method of legal resolution. They called it the human solution, a way to bypass centuries of legal calculations and get straight to justice. Send them our standard response, Stone said, adjusting his new perfectly pressed suit. We'll need to review their case first, make sure it's appropriate for RPS resolution. Not every case could be settled this way, of course. But for disputes that needed quick resolution, where both parties agreed to the terms, rock, paper, scissors had become the preferred method across 17 star systems. Blue, red, and green walked in, each carrying holographic displays filled with case files. Their law firm, once stuck between a noodle shop and repair facility, now occupied the top floor of Delta's most prestigious business tower. The mining corporation paid the full damages. Blue announced, his crystal structure gleaming. The healing crystal colonies are already being rebuilt. And the warrior clans? Stone asked, turning from the window. Red scales rippled with amusement. They've become our biggest supporters. They love the idea of settling disputes through ritual combat, even if it's just hand gestures. They're sending their young warriors to Earth to study RPS strategy. Speaking of Earth, Green's leaves rustled as she pulled up another hologram. The Earth Bar Association sent a message. They want to know if you'll accept reinstatement. With honors. Stone laughed. The same organization that had mocked him 3 years ago now wanted him back. Tell them I'm a bit busy revolutionizing galactic law. A chime announced another visitor. The door slid open to reveal Ms. White, the professional RPS player he had defeated. Mr. Stone, she said with a respectful nod, I have a proposal for you. Oh, I'm starting an academy, teaching aliens and humans alike the art of legal rock, paper, scissors. She smiled. I could use a partner who understands both the legal and psychological aspects. Stone considered it. An academy would help legitimize the practice even further. On one condition, he said. We teach them that sometimes the best strategy is no strategy at all. White nodded. That's exactly what I was thinking. As they discussed the details, Stone noticed something on one of the news holofeeds. The Galactic High Court was installing a massive sculpture in their main chamber. A rock, a sheet of paper, and a pair of scissors, each made from materials from different worlds, rotating in perfect balance. You know what the best part is? Stone said to the room. We've proved that humanity's so-called primitive ways still have value. That sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. His assistant floated back in. Sir, the Seven Sons delegation has arrived early, and they've brought their own rocks and scissors. Everyone laughed. Stone straightened his tie and headed for the conference room. Let's show them how it's done. As he walked, he couldn't help but smile. Who would have thought that a children's game from Earth would revolutionize galactic law? But then again, that was humanity's greatest strength, finding elegance in simplicity and order in chaos. The universe, it seemed, was finally ready to play by human rules, at least some of the time.